Hey guys, Ben here from GoTree Quotes. This is the third part of a four-part series on Google AdWords. The other two parts I put together was about 6 months ago, mid-2017, and sent through to you guys. If you have not watched those parts or need a refresher, I suggest you go back and watch them. You can find them in the blog that I've directed you to here, or there is a link down the bottom of the email that I have sent you with this video. So as you know, I use Google AdWords every day to advertise. It's definitely not my only form of generating leads. I have many ways. A lot of them come organically through my website. But this, I certainly do get a lot of leads with this. It is profitable. So I continue to use it. It does cost a little bit more money to generate a lead this way than really any other form of advertising. But we're still talking, $15 to $20 a lead. It's not, it's not the end of the world, and especially for you guys, if you can turn a lead into $1,000 job, whereas I can turn a lead into about $45. So for you guys, it can be a lot more profitable. And Google AdWords can really be your best friend if you use it correctly. So in part 3, we're going to be looking at a few different things. Now, conversion tracking is massively important. We didn't touch on it in part 1 or 2. If you've been avoiding it up until now, it can be a little bit scary to think about. It is super easy to do, and it's going to allow you to sort of magnify where you spend your advertising dollars. And we're not just going to be talking about Google AdWords, we're going to be talking about Yellow Pages, a local paper, and that type thing. How are you going to track where your calls are coming from, where your advertising spend is going, and what's bringing the best return for your investment, so you can spend more money in those areas and less money in the areas that aren't really bringing much of a return. We're going to touch on landing pages. I use landing pages. A landing page is basically it can be a page on your website that isn't sort of your home page. It's kind of like a hidden page on your website that you use to send paid traffic to. I actually send my paid traffic to a different website, and I can show you those differences in a minute. It's not essential. I use it. It's up to you whether you do use it. I use it to test various things to increase my conversion rates. So with conversion rates, I'm talking about people that come to my website. So you might get 100 clicks on your website and 20 phone calls. What we want to do is increase those 20 phone calls to 40 phone calls, which is going to halve your cost of leads. So if to get 100 clicks on your website or 100 calls, for example, is costing you, from your website sent there from Google AdWords, if that's costing you, let's say, $300, and then you double the amount of calls that you get, that means the cost per lead is gonna halve. So the cost per call is gonna halve. So which is gonna make you a lot more money. This is a massive part of it. If you don't get this part right, you're going to be fumbling around spending money where you shouldn't be spending it, and not spending enough where you should be. This is the difference between a one-man band, a small company, and a larger growing company. We see trucks and chippers driving around all the time. It's the industry seems to be expanding. There's no more work. There's just a lot more people in it. So it's going to be the little things that you do and the ways that you save money on your advertising and maximize your advertising that's going to set you apart from the rest as far as the amount of money you can make, the amount of customers you reach, and the growth of your business. What we're looking to do is squash out those cowboys that are underqualified and that are just running around and ripping off qualified arborists. I mean, it's amazing. It's happening in the industry. It doesn't happen in electrical or plumbing, but it's been happening in the tree game for the last 15, 20 years. So, and it's just getting worse. So, there's not a lot we can do about it without regulation, but we can do a lot about how we acquire customers and starve these guys of work. Now, on the top 2 points, I'm going to also talk about leveraging virtual assistants. I use a virtual assistant, which is basically using someone from another country to do any kind of online work for you. All my web design is done by a guy in Romania. He is awesome. He's obviously got a university degree in IT, in web page design, and he's only charging $7 an hour. Now in Australia, you'd probably be paying between $50 and $70 per hour for the same job, which is absolutely ridiculous. And if you want to compete with larger companies who have an amazing website, who have SEO done to get them at the top of Google rankings, all these things, it can all be done using a virtual assistant, using several virtual assistants. I've got one that manages my Google AdWords account. Okay, just you may or may not get someone to do it for yours. For me, I've got keywords in each city. There's a lot of I've got hundreds of ads running, so for me it's a little harder to manage everything on top of running the rest of the business. So I do have a guy for that. Mary, who does my invoicing, she's in the Philippines. She's fantastic. She has access to the system. She goes in, makes up the invoices, and sends them off to you guys. So, I mean, she cost me $5 an hour. You could be paying someone to do the same job $20 an hour. Why would you? We're in a global market. All the big companies are certainly using people overseas, like your big multinationals like Telstra for all their calls. So why shouldn't you, a smaller business, leverage this kind of thing? So I'm going to show you how to do that. So as you can see, this is going to be a bit of a different episode. I guess it's going to go for maybe 30-35 minutes. But this stuff is absolutely crucial to growing your business. So let's have a quick recap. So part one, we did go through quality score for each of your keywords and how increasing your quality score is going to reduce your cost per click and move you further up the rankings, further up the positions for cheaper, which is going to get you more clicks for a cheaper price, which is going to be more traffic to your website, which is more calls. So that was the first one. The next one was audience and targeting keywords. Now these are all in part one of the video. You can go back and watch the whole thing. I just thought I'd quickly recap what we spoke about. Now keywords, you don't want to have things that are too broad. If you're just chasing tree lopping or arborist or tree removal, you'll be paying a lot for those keywords, and you'll be getting a lot of clicks, but maybe not so many conversions. Because you'll find someone will type that in and they'll see they're getting results from, if they're in Sydney, they're getting Adelaide results and results from all over because people aren't using AdWords correctly, or Google's just displaying, tree lopping for the whole of Australia, not specifically for your city. They'll probably click on your site and then maybe go away. It's kind of a waste of money. So you can do it, but you need to have negative keywords if you're going to do that. So we spoke about, so just on targeting the right audience, you want to be looking for someone maybe specifically for your area. So if you've got keywords like, tree lopping, tree removal, stump removal, try having it with suburbs next to it. So tree removal Kew, tree removal Box Hill South, tree removal all the suburbs, and do that for all of the for all the different keywords. Then you do it with city. So they're called long tail keywords. They're a lot cheaper to bid for, a lot more specific, and you'll get a higher conversion rate. Negative keywords are super important. We spoke about in that video having a negative keyword such as Christmas. So if you're bidding for the keyword tree lopping and someone types into Google cut your own Christmas tree, your ad's going to come up, someone's going to click on it, and it's going to be a waste of a click. It's going to cost you $4 or $5, and that's money down the drain just because your ad come up. If you're bidding on stump grinding but you don't have a negative keyword of stump grinder, you're going to get a novice trying to hire something from Kennards and click on your ad. There are so many examples. Tree pruning. If you don't have tree pruners as a negative keyword, people are going to be clicking on your ad when they're searching to buy tree pruners to prune their rose bush from Bunnings or whatever. So negative keywords are super important. We also looked at exact phrase and broad match. They're the different types of keywords you bid on. I won't go into them. You'll have to watch number 2. You don't want to be number one spot. Number one spot gets most of the clicks and is the most expensive. The sweet spot is about spot 3 or 4. You're still at the top of Google AdWords, because when you think about it, customers are quite fickle. When they click on number 1, the grass is always greener. They're not going to go with number 1. They just want to see, it's the first one that comes up, so they click on it. They're like, oh, I've got a page of another 10 to look at, so they will, and they'll forget about you. The internet's all about distracting people. It's all set up to distract. How many times have you been searching for something and all of a sudden you're on Facebook and then you're on YouTube looking at a video and then you hear and 40 minutes have passed and it's dinner time and you're meant to be doing your book work and you haven't. That's what the internet is. It's there to distract. So number 1 spot isn't the best spot. Number 3 or 4 when you're going for a Google AdWords bidding. Of course, number 1 spot's great in organic. You're going to get a lot of clicks, but they're not going to cost you $5 a click. They're essentially free once you're up there. And ad copy we went into to maximize your click-through rate and conversions. So you'll have to go back and have a look at that. Now, I want to talk about traffic. So, of course, we are talking about Google AdWords and sending traffic from your Google AdWords account to your website or your landing pages. But what I want to discuss for a minute is where your traffic comes from and how you know your return on investment from certain advertising you're paying for. Because all of us are obviously, well, maybe not all of us, but we've all got 2 or 3 of these things going on. Most of us are in the yellow pages just as a reference. Most, if you're not in the local paper now, you would have been at some point in time. Maybe it was worthwhile, maybe it wasn't. Obviously you get word of mouth, organic Google, letterbox drops, all those kind of things. Now, are you tracking where your customers are coming from? So you might have your mobile number and everyone calls your mobile number. That's great. Are you asking them, where did you hear about me? You can, if you're not doing that, you should be. If you don't want to do that, there's another way to do it, which is every time you have a different type of advertising, and this is where landing pages comes in, have a different phone number. So you can run everything from your mobile if that's what you wish, but get 3 or 4 1-800 numbers that forward to your mobile. So have a certain 1-800 number for yellow pages, one for the local paper, and one for Google paid traffic. That way, at the end of the month, when you get your bill from your 1-800 number, which isn't very expensive, it's going to be maybe $100 if you got 3 of them, you can see, okay, so from yellow pages, I'm spending $250 a month for, to be online with them, to be at the top spot, whatever it is, and I'm getting 8 phone calls, whereas a local paper, I'm spending about the same price, $230, and I'm getting 27 phone calls. Where should you be putting your money? I would get rid of the yellow pages ad and double up on the local papers. Maybe have a bigger ad. Maybe have a second ad under a different trading name. There's many things you can do to get more traffic. So you could be testing different ads to see which gets the best results. Have 2 ads in the same paper under different names. A different number for each, maybe one with a green, one with a yellow background. See which one gets more calls. The one that gets more calls, just continue to run that one and dump the other one. There's so many things you can do just having these separate phone numbers to know where the traffic's coming from. So you don't need to run them forever. You can just do a few tests for, I'd say 3 months, just to see where things are coming from. And the amount you're spending on these 1-800 numbers, you're going to get a massive return on investment just by knowing where these calls are coming from. So that's my first point, which is we're going to refer to it as conversion tracking in this video. So if you hear me talking about conversion tracking, that's what I'm talking about, tracking where your calls are coming from. Now, why we're doing this is obviously to increase the column on the far right, which is the amount of money you get in. Now, this particular graph or spreadsheet can be done for any business. It is done for all businesses. You want to be, we're specifically looking at web visits here, but you can just call it traffic in general. It could be people that go to your website through many different channels, but we're just going to call it web visits. So let's say, for example, just with Google AdWords, you're sending 200 people to your site. So let's not talk about how much it's going to cost, but there's 200 people going to your site. Of those 200 people, about 20% of them call you. Okay, that's a very reasonable sort of conversion rate. That's a very healthy amount of people to call you. You'll be surprised how many people go to your site and don't call. So you get 40 calls, and just say from those calls, so those leads are quotes, you'll go out and quote the jobs, and just say you've got a hit rate of 1 in 4. Look, it might be higher, you might get 50% of your jobs, that's great. We're not going to be talking about increasing your hit rate or increasing your average spend. We're going to be talking about increasing the web visits for the same amount of money and increasing the amount of leads or calls you get from those web visits. So if we just increase one statistic, which is the amount of web visits, so increase it by 50%, which is very, very easily done. You can do that without spending any more money, just following instructions in probably video 1, not even video 2. If you were to add video 2, you'd probably double the amount of web visits you got for the same amount of money. And you'd increase your leads to 60, still that's a 20% conversion rate. If you're still getting the same amount of jobs, which is a quarter, the same average spend, you're getting an extra $3,500 a month. But if you were to also, as well as increasing your web visits by 50%, you increased your lead, the number of people that called you to 25%, so just up to 25% from 20%, and you get the same hit rate from the amount of quotes you do. You've almost doubled the amount of profit you're getting at the end of the month. So this is why at the start of this, everyone focuses on how much they're charging the customers, but you can really play the numbers game here. And if you increase the amount of visits and calls and quotes that you're doing, you can be charging the same amount and be busy as a blue-ass fly, and you're doubling your profits. So that makes a huge difference at the end of the year. So that's just food for thought. That's what we're getting at in this video. So many of you guys are, well, you guys are all arborists. What you probably don't understand is you're only an arborist about 25% of the time. If you're in or running a small business, you're in the marketing game. The quicker you realize you are in a marketing game, every step of this process is marketing, whether it's putting an ad in the paper, whether it's the way you present your website, whether it's the call to action on your website saying call me, or fastest quotes around or cheapest, whatever your call to action is to get people to call you. The hit rate on jobs, you're selling yourself to the customer, you're selling your services, you're selling the price, why they want to be paying more for you than someone else or whatever. It's all sales. So if you can wrap your head around the fact that you're in marketing and really focus on this, the bottom end, which is the profit you make, is going to absolutely explode, and it's going to be exponential as you expand your business. So this is super important. Okay, so last point before we move on, return on investment. I have harped on about this a little bit, but this last point I want to talk about return on investment in a sense of how much you're going to spend on advertising. So people have these different theories on how much you should spend on advertising. Even big corporations get it totally wrong, because they'll look at their total profits or spend and say, okay, we can afford to spend 2 or 3% of our total turnover or profit on advertising to get more people coming in. That's the complete wrong way to look at it. Of course you want to minimize how much you spend, but what you need to focus on is how much return you're getting for the money you spend. So this is how it was explained to me. I treat advertising rather as a bank. Now, if I was to say to you, here's $1,000, if you go to the bank and hand it over and they hand you back $3,000, how often would you go to the bank? I'd be there every day and twice on Thursdays. So, and that's how I view it. So, obviously, with the way I run GoTree Quotes, leads on AdWords are costing me, on a good day, $10, $12, on a bad day, close to $20. So I'm averaging about $15 a lead, which is fine because I can average a return of, $35 to $40 a lead. So I'm making a small profit on it. You guys are getting leads cheaper than you normally would advertising because obviously I'm doing the same advertising, yet 3 of you guys are getting the leads rather than 3 of you guys all spending the same amount on an ad. It just makes total sense. So it's cheaper for you guys to buy a lead, and I make money. But the only reason I can do it is because I view it on a return basis, on a return on investment. So you can only do that if you're tracking how much you are getting in return for that particular investment. So the reason I'm talking about this is because in the next video we're going to be drilling down in a bit more detail, specifically in the AdWords account, which ads are specifically giving you a good return, which keywords. So setting up conversion tracking and knowing which streams or which forms of advertising are bringing the dollars in or bringing the calls is super important. So we have spoken about conversion tracking through the phone numbers. So you can have 1-800 numbers, different 1-800 numbers on different advertising. For me, it's a lot easier. Obviously, I'm sending people to a website. They're filling out a form. I can track that, and Google AdWords can track that really well. It's a little more difficult with Google AdWords. If you haven't got someone filling out a form, you can set it up so when they click, for example, on mobile, they come across your ad, they can click on your ad or click call. Even if they click on your ad and go to their website, they can click call, and Google will still track that as a conversion. So you can set that up, and you'll know specifically what ad that customer come from to generate that conversion. So just to show you what I'm talking about specifically, I'm not going to get into too much detail. We'll talk about more about this in the next video. But so let's have a look at tree surgeon. Okay, you'll notice I've got a few different keywords like tree chopping. So it's probably not a keyword you guys are using, but hey, I got 8 conversions out of it, and they only cost me $12 a conversion. So why not? Remember, we may not call ourselves tree loppers, we're arborists, but you've got to mimic the language that customers are using. The customer's always right, and if they're looking for a tree lopper, you're a tree lopper. So that's what you've got to be advertising for. So let's have a look at this one, for example. It's costing me $19, which isn't the best. I got 4 conversions, $78 for those total conversions, and 21 clicks in total. So let's have a look what's going on in here. Okay, so you notice I've got quite a few variations of the keyword tree surgeon. It just tells Google in what circumstances to show that keyword. And you'll notice Google seems to be showing this one a lot more often. And that's where all my conversions are. So if I were to rank them with cost, you can see tree surgeons gets a lot more impressions and click than just tree surgeon, singular plural. And then tree surgeon as an exact match gets less, and tree surgeons and exact match gets even less again. But you can see these 3, I'm spending money on them and I've got no conversions. This keyword seems to be converting the best. So I'll run this for maybe another week or 2 just to be sure. But you'll probably find that I'll be switching these other keywords off and just running with this one because I'm getting conversions with that particular keyword at $14 per conversion. Now let's have a look at the ads that I'm serving for that particular keyword. Now I've got 3 ads, and there's only one of the ads that's actually converting. The other one's getting clicks, and no one's taking the bait. No one's filling out the form. So if I was to switch off, and this is why conversion tracking is so important. At the moment, I'm paying $19 a conversion. If I didn't know where my conversions were coming from, I would continue to pay $19 a conversion for this particular keyword. But now that I know what ad is working and what particular match type of the keyword is working, I can be paying half. And that's how easy it is to reduce your spend. See, now if I switch off the other keywords, so we're looking at these keywords, all these impressions will be going to this keyword, and all these impressions of these ads will be going to this ad. So not only will I reduce the amount, the cost, but everything for that keyword will be funneled to this ad, and I'll increase my conversions, and I would have reduced my cost per conversion. So again, that there's a lot of other factors that can I can try and increase it again by making changes to my landing page. You'll see here I'm testing a different landing page, which is different to my regular landing page or my regular website. But hey, look, it's getting good conversions. I'll continue to test this and yeah, see what comes of it. You know, testing different headlines. The biggest thing that is going to two big things that are going to increase your conversions and the amount of phone calls that you get is the headline on your website and the call to action. So my call to action is actually here. Yes, I want my 3 free quotes. That's this is sort of what you always want to do is anyone that does a search on Google is always looking to solve a problem. Their problem is their tree. So I place myself as the person that's going to solve that problem for them at a good price, and they're willing to hand over their job details to see if I can solve that problem for them. So that's the psychology behind this landing page. But we are digressing. So that is, I just wanted to quickly show you the importance of tracking conversions. So just to summarize, tracking conversions, what ads are converting the customers, what postcodes are converting better than others. For you guys, you'll probably have your like Google AdWords advertising busted up into certain regions of the city. So whether that's you know, Melbourne or Sydney or wherever it is. And you can see, as I just showed you, what keywords are converting better. Not only what match types of a specific keyword, but tree surgeon might be converting a lot better than arborist. So if that's the case, you should be switching arborist off and just going with tree surgeon. So what devices? People will come across your ads on 3 different devices. It'll be a laptop or a regular desktop computer, a tablet, or a mobile. I found that tablets and desktops, I get much better conversions than mobiles, so I really don't advertise much on mobiles. You wouldn't know that unless you're tracking conversions, so you really need to work this stuff out. The next one is networks. Now that just talks about when you sign up for Google AdWords and advertise, you are not just advertising on Google, but on various affiliates like Bing and Yahoo, and what they call network partners. So you can test whether you get good conversions on network partners or not, and that type of thing. So what I want to talk about next is landing pages. Actually, before I get to landing pages, let's talk about how you guys are going to do all these things if you don't know. For example, you know, setting up your conversion tracking in Google AdWords, or getting someone else to manage your Google AdWords account. This is where the virtual assistants come in. So before I get into Instapage, because setting up landing pages, because again, this is something that a virtual assistant can do for you. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, so I'm going to show you the one that I use, which is Upwork. There are 2 very large ones, which are Upwork and Freelancer. Now, this is basically an online platform where you can post a job, generally tech-related or other, something that can be done remotely. You know, obviously you're not going to post to get a grounder here or a climber. It's going to be because you're most probably going to be employing someone from another country to do these things for you. So you can see here I've got a few ads. Positions have been filled for these. You can see I've got proposals for article writing, posting classified ads. I've even just got a new guy in to manage my AdWords account. So basically what you'll do is you'll post a job, and you'll create a new job, and you'll basically just go through the steps. It's pretty easy. So okay, the first one's web development. If you're going to create a landing page, obviously it's got to do with your website. If you need someone to chase up invoices for you, or if you need someone to do accounting like what I get done, you need someone to do SEO for your website. There's so many things you can get done online, which is just going to be a lot cheaper than what you're paying. I do advise you to be wary. Maybe do some tests first with certain people before handing over the keys. The good part is, I'll just go back to my jobs and I'll just show you, freelancers get rated, which is really good. I found that I prefer to use a standalone freelancer rather than an agency. Agencies are generally pretty easy to spot, so these freelancers are, obviously you're going to get people from that are charging quite a bit, especially for Google AdWords. But hey, you can drop it down to the lowest hourly rate first, and bada boom, $4.40 an hour. These guys will manage your account. Now, the way you spot, I try to avoid India most of the time. That being said, I think my current guy for AdWords is Indian, so it's not a rule of thumb. Web development, I kind of steer clear of India. I look for Eastern Europe or Northern Europe. They've got the best web developers, in my opinion. So Russia, Romania, Bulgaria, any of those countries, really good tech guys. Indians just aren't up to scratch, if you ask me. They're pretty good with managing AdWords account, though, in my experience. Now, what you want is a single guy. You don't want a company. And how you tell the difference is, this one, for example, charging $5 an hour, and they've earned total of $1 million plus. Now, they would have had to work 5 lifetimes to earn that amount of money. It's just not possible. So they're actually an agency. You can see here too, hire agency. So you can see the success rate of various assistants. 95%, 92%, 99%. So this guy looks like a good one. I could probably shortlist and maybe have a little bit of a closer look. He's got his proposal in there, his skills, excuse me, and you can also look at previous jobs and what people have said about him. So they're giving him 4 stars, 3.3, 5 stars, so 5 stars. So you can look at comments and that type of thing, and yeah, just get an idea. And that's basically how you do it. So you post a job, freelancers will give you a proposal, and you choose the best one. They're hired through this platform. You pay them, and I think Upwork take about 10%. It doesn't come off your end, it comes off their end. But yeah, look, it's a great platform. I highly suggest you use it, and you can have people doing things while you sleep, and it's really not going to cost a lot. So enough with that. Now on to landing pages. I use Instapage for all my landing pages. Now you'll see here, this is actually not my website. It's a subdomain .au, so this is not my website. And that goes for, all of my landing pages. None of these landing pages actually go to my website. You'll see a lot of them look very similar to my website. It can be deceiving. For example, let's go to the one that I send keywords for tree removal to. Now, this looks like my website, but it's not gotreequotes.com.au. It's gotreequote without the S. If I was to put the S in front of it and take you to my actual website, you'll see the difference. So very similar, but you've got the bar at the top here, and I've got a lot more information on it. So if I go back, you'll see this one, my landing page, GoTreeQuote, which is a different domain, has a lot less information. This is what's called a squeeze page. Now this is where I do all my what's called A/B testing. So I send customers here. I can test anything from headlines to pictures quite easily. I'll show you in a tick the builder, the back-end builder, which you could do yourself if you wanted to, or again you could go to Upwork and get someone to build some landing pages that you can test yourself and see what gives the best conversion. Now this is a squeeze page in that I'm not sending them to a whole heap of information. I haven't got the ins and outs, tree felling or lopping or arboriculture or that type thing. All I'm giving them is they basically come here. I want them to do one of two things. I want them to give me their information, or I want them to go away, and it's as simple as that. I'm not here to entertain them. They're happy enough to click on my ad. I've expressed exactly what they can expect if they click on my ad. They can expect to come here, fill out a form to compare 3 quotes from local guys. You'll be surprised how clearly you detail what to expect when they click on your ad and how many of them jump ship. I've got about a 35% conversion rate, which is an amazing conversion rate, but it still boggles the mind that 7 in 10 people, even though they're told they'll be asked to fill out a form, don't actually fill out the form. So this is where I test various things. As I mentioned before, headline makes a huge difference. If I had this blue, if I change that to grey, it'd probably halve my conversion rate. It's amazing that the very, very small things. My call to action, get my 3 free quotes now. That is a call to action. That is them telling them to get their 3 free quotes. I've got a cost calculator in here. So this is how I do things. I'll just show you the guts of the form, or the guts of the Instapage. It's just a drag and drop setup, very easy to use if you wanted to fiddle around with it on the weekend. So you can see here it's all in blocks. I can pick this up, put it wherever I want. I can go in here and I can change the picture at the back. I can change so many parts of it. So I can change the color of that button if I wanted to, where it links to. I could swap these two around if I wanted to. So it's basically like a website, but it's not really a website. It's a landing page. So it's super easy. Now this is variation A. You see it's a lot shorter, and variation B. So you can actually send people to the same page and test 3 or 4 different variations. And Instapage will, if you get 100 people coming to your site, if you've got 2 variations, they'll split those 100 people into 2 different and onto both variations, and maybe you've got a different number on each variation, and you can see which one gets the most phone calls. And then you get your best one and test that against something else and see if you can keep getting better and better, and that's to increase your conversion rate like we discussed previously. So this is the one that I'm currently using. You can see it's a bit of a longer form and it seems to be working well. So that is Instapage. Okay guys, so that is it from me for part 3. Part 4, we're going to get into a little bit more detail. Once you have your conversion tracking set up, we're going to talk about cutting a lot of the fat and cutting out a lot of the wasted clicks by reducing the time of day that clicks happen, the device, which I spoke about, maybe getting rid of mobile if it's not working for you either. Maybe mobile is working for you. I'm trying to get someone to fill out a form, you're trying to get them the call. Maybe you want less desktop and more mobile. So whatever works for your specific conversions, the way you convert. Adjust bids for geo-targeting. So that's talking about certain areas. Possibly you're based in Penrith and you're also in Sydney, in a place called Penrith in Sydney. Maybe you're targeting Castle Hill. People click on your website, they see you from Penrith, and for some reason they don't like it and they don't call you, and you never get a conversion, but you're wasting money there. So you can turn off that area, or maybe you are getting conversions, but your spend is 5 times as much as another area where you're getting more conversions. So it's all about maximizing the amount of conversions you get, the amount of calls for a obviously a better return on investment. And the last thing we're going to talk about next part is the use of ad extensions. So thanks for watching, guys. If you've got any questions, feel free to send me an email. If you're having problems with your AdWords account, I'm happy to help you out. Have a look, give you some advice. So yeah, look, best of luck with it, guys, and chat soon.